I didn't know Manafort well. He wasn't with the campaign long.
I don't know Papadopoulos. I don't know him. I saw him sitting in one picture at a table with me. That's the only thing I know about him.
Well, on Truth Social today, Trump wrote, "I know nothing about Project 2025. I have no idea who's behind it. I disagree with some of the things they're saying, and some of the things they're saying are absolutely ridiculous and abysmal. Anything they do, I wish them luck, but I have nothing to do with them." Several Trump allies, though, do have ties to Project 2025, including two of its authors, Dr. Ben Carson and Ken Cuccinelli. Mark Meadows and Stephen Miller are with groups on Project 2025's advisory board. Senior advisor Peter Navarro, who is, of course, in prison, is also listed as an advisor.
You're not supposed to talk about God. Does that make any sense? That's schizophrenia. Aren't you glad that yesterday the governor of Louisiana signed into the law, put the 10 Commandments back in the schools? After that Supreme Court decision, they started pulling down the 10 Commandments. But you know what? Next time you see somebody who wants that done, ask them this question. What exactly is wrong with thou shalt not kill?
We have more than enough time to right the wrong of this fraudulent election result and certify Donald Trump as the winner of the election. As we speak today, an alternate slate of electors in the contested states is going to vote, and we're going to send those results up to Congress.
Clip, which you clearly had knowledge of in advance. The people who were committing or attempting to commit elector fraud against their state or the national government in states that you know Donald Trump lost, appealed all the way to the Supreme Court and lost, those are now being dealt with as criminal cases. What do you say to your prior role on that? And can you tonight, you disclaim 2025, can you disclaim these kind of efforts in the next election or not?
So, of all of the most ridiculous communist lawfare schemes, surely at the top of the list is going after Republican lawyers and Republican activists who served as alternate electors so that Congress on January 6th could lawfully and in the due course of their duties consider election fraud claims. It is a patriotic act for a citizen to volunteer themselves to stand as an alternate elector so that Congress can hear and consider claims of illegality and unconstitutionality in the states, and then Congress can decide if they want to ratify those claims or not.
Well, jump in, I'll let you finish, but I'm just going to say, fact check false. That's fact check false. Elector fraud is a crime, and each of these cases will be adjudicated individually.
What is the fraud? Is it your contention that the Michigan alternate electors were not self-described as alternate electors? They held press conferences. Everybody said these are alternate electors. They're going to be considered by Congress as
I'm going to address.
Christians, get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years. You know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian. I love you. Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again.
Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump's trying to downplay his connection to the plan. And last week, Kevin Roberts, head of the influential right-wing Heritage Foundation, postponed the release of his Project 2025 book until after the November election. The book's foreword is written by Trump's vice presidential running mate, J.D. Vance. Trump's campaign insists it has no connection to the right-wing blueprint for immigration, almost 1,000 pages long, a blueprint for immigration, reproductive rights, climate policy, and more. But many of the key figures working for Project 2025 are former top Trump administration officials. Some of them featured in newly released videos that were created for Project 2025's Presidential Administration Academy. In a major new development, the independent news outlets ProPublica and Documented have now published dozens of these videos, some of which we'll feature today.
Climate change, allegedly, is everywhere. And if the American people elect a conservative president, his administration will have to eradicate climate change references from absolutely everywhere. And according to our intelligence community, the #1 threat facing our country today is, drumroll, climate change. Not Russia, not China, not AI, climate change. This shows how the federal government is all in on this issue. And climate change activists wield a lot of power. This is an issue to pay attention to as it has infiltrated every part of the federal government. Now, when I think of climate change, I immediately think of population control, don't you? I think about the people who don't want you to have children because of the impact on the environment. Perhaps not everyone will make that connection, but after spending time in the international space trying to protect life, I can tell you that this is part of their ultimate goal.
If the next Republican president does not execute a dramatic course correction, there may never be another chance. So if you're not on board with helping implement a dramatic course correction because you're afraid it'll damage your future employment prospects, it'll harm you socially, look, I get it. That's a real danger. It's a real thing. But please, do us all a favor and sit this one out.
Now, in terms of a survival tip, do not let career bureaucrats hinder you from advancing the president's agenda. Keep in mind, you're coming into a place, Washington, D.C., that does not share your conservative values.
To a broad concerted effort between Donald Trump and his allies who are preparing to enter Christian nationalism in his next administration, should he win a second term. Political reports the person leading this effort is Russell Vought, president of the Center for Renewing America think tank, a leading group in a conservative consortium preparing for a second Trump term. Now, Vought sees his and his organization's mission as a renewing of consensus of America as a nation under God, per a statement on CRA's website. Freedom of religion would remain a protected right, but Vought and his ideological brethren would not shy from using their administration positions to promote Christian doctrine and imbue public policy with it.
On their board, and they say in their mandate for leadership, which is like a 900-page document, that they explicitly want to put God and Christianity back into civic life in America. And they have some pretty specific ideas here. I would point your attention to two pieces of this puzzle in Project 2025, which is really kind of like the roadmap. They want to do a lot through the Department of Health and Human Services, as well as the FDA, when it comes to, we know the abortion pill, potentially withdrawing approval of that, contraceptive coverage. And then you also have groups like the Ethics and Public Policy Center, which have been openly targeting issues like IVF, as well as hormonal birth control. Now, this may come as a shock to folks who are listening right now, because we've always talked in Christian conservative circles about just like a couple of issues like abortion and same-sex marriage, that this would go so far as to target issues like reducing access to contraception.
Let every adversary against democracy, against freedom, against life, against liberty, against justice, against peace, against righteousness be overturned right now in the name of Jesus.
I'm to the place right now, if you vote Democrat, I don't even want you around this church. You can get out. You can get out, you demon. You can get out, you baby butchering election thief. You cannot be a Christian and vote Democrat in this nation. I don't care how mad that makes you. You get pissed off as you want to. You cannot be a Christian and vote Democrat in this nation.
We have the power of God with us. We have Jesus Christ that we're serving here. He's guiding and directing our steps. And in November, we're going to take our state back. My God will make it so.
I never met this woman. I never saw this woman.
I know nothing about QAnon.
I just told you.
I know very little. You told me, but what you tell me doesn't necessarily make it fact.
Look, what I was basically saying is that we're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made. What you find consistently is that many of the most unhappy and most miserable and most angry people in our media are childless adults. The entire future of the Democrats is controlled by people without children. And how does it make any sense that we've turned our country over to people who don't really have a direct stake in it? I just wanted to ask that question and propose that maybe if we want a healthy ruling class in this country, we should invest more, we should vote more, we should support more people who actually have kids, because those are the people who ultimately have a more direct stake in the future of this country.
What it is that Satan's controlling the church. The church is not doing its job. what they're doing by saying, oh, we have to love these people and take care of these migrants and love one another. This is loving one another. Yes, we are supposed to love one another, but their definition of what love one another means destroying our laws.
They keep on tying you to Project 2025, which is a 900-page tome put out by the Heritage Foundation. What is your response to what's in it, and what would you like to say about the role it's playing in your campaign?
It's a group of very, very conservative people. They wrote a document that many of the points are fine. Many of the points are absolutely ridiculous. I have nothing to do with the document. I've never seen the document. I've seen certain things that are said in it. And it's a group of very conservative people that probably like me, but it doesn't matter because it doesn't speak for me. They wrote something that I disagree with in many cases, and in some cases you agree. But it's like a group of radical left people that write something, and, you know, people get angry by it. This is a document I know nothing about. It's called Project 25. I heard about it a week ago, and has nothing to do with me whatsoever. But, of course, our friends that are Democrats, radical left Democrats, they take the document, which is, I guess, pretty big and thorough, and they scour through it. And anything that's bad in there or that's a little bit less than mainstream, they take it and they make a big deal out of it. Donald Trump and Project 25. Are you ready? I know nothing about Project 25. I haven't seen the document. I don't intend to really see the document. And it's a group of people that got together that wrote some kind of a dream document for them. Right. But it has absolutely nothing to do with me. And it's just disinformation, Brian, by the Democrats. It's pure disinformation.
The National Association of Christian Lawmakers bestowed this award in honor of a lifetime of service to God and country, public service to the state of Louisiana and the United States of America, devotion to the U.S. Constitution, service as the 56th Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, statesmanship, bold Christian leadership, and faithful service to our Lord Jesus Christ. On behalf of the NACL and all of our members, and I can tell you, sir, that it's very obvious to see you're one of us regardless here tonight, because we're going to stand with you.
The Lord is going to choose a new Moses, and thank you, the Lord. Lord, you're going to allow me to be Aaron to Moses. And so I worked to get Steve Scalise elected speaker. That didn't happen. And then Jim Jordan, who's like another big brother of mine. No, that didn't happen. And then Tom Emmer, and ultimately 13 people ran for the post. And the Lord kept telling me to wait. So I waited. And then at the end, when it came to the end, the Lord said, now, step forward. Me? I'm supposed to be Aaron. No, the Lord said, step forward. Psalm 77 speaks of the Exodus in the 14th chapter of Exodus, and it says, only God saw the path through the roiling sea. We could not see it. Men could not see it. And I believe deep in my heart, is my core conviction, that God wants us to seek him for the path through the roiling sea.
I don't know him very well. I have not spoken to him much. This is not a man I know well. Seems like a nice guy, though.